Hello and welcome to yesterday's Airlines. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at a new model from a new manufacturer of a type which has rarely been delivered in 400 scale, and that is of course the Antonov 225, and the new manufacturer is somebody called YRD Models. Now YRD models seem to have come into existence, or at least been publicised relatively recently. They are not like other 400 scale manufacturers in that the models are not die cast. This Antonov in front of you is made entirely of plastic, so that may be off-putting for some. From what I've seen, YRD models have produced both this 225 plus an AN-124, but also some smaller aircraft. I think I've seen a 787 in LATAM colours, for example. Looking at their Facebook page, it appears that they've also been making larger plastic models as well. So don't know a great deal about YRD models. Have seen their logo. And they've got a Facebook page, as I say, but their website doesn't appear to actually work, or at least not here. And there's not a lot more to be said really about who they are. Now, the AN-225, however, there's obviously a lot to be said about that aircraft. And what I'll do is take a look around this model and give you an idea of what it is YRD are producing in terms of their models, in terms of the quality, and what you get when you buy one of these AN-225s, or indeed one of their Rustlins. So we'll look at that in a second. Now, before we get to that, obviously, as always, if you like the video, please subscribe to this channel and check out the website Yesterday's Airlines, which always has tons of new information about 400 scale. Follow me on Instagram at Yesterday Airlines and on Facebook, and just keep up with the channels, because as I say, I post almost every day or every other day something new, be it reviews or news or molds or whatever. Okay, let's get on and see what you're getting for your money here with this YRD models. Okay, so just starting off, take a quick look at the box. As you can see, it's a little bit different to the standard kind of box that you get for 400 scale, because it's got this flip top configuration here, which is different. It doesn't have flaps opening at the sides. As you can see, otherwise the box is fairly nice. You have this image of the aircraft on the front and some more images on the sides, and if you flip over, you can see you get another one on the back, and that's where about the only place where it says a great deal about YRD models. And as I say, if you try and look at the yrdmodel.com website, it doesn't really do much. But nonetheless, the box is what boxes are, and inside you've got the usual plastic inserts and such. So, overall, the box is nice enough, it does the job. The other thing you do get with YRD models is a stand, which is a plastic stand like this. It's got Antonov Airlines on it, and it fits in obviously to the bottom of the aircraft, and it's got a fairly large stand hole. It doesn't really work with other models, I don't think, but it's nice to get a stand, and you can get away with having such a flimsy plastic stand because, as I said, the model itself is plastic. So one of the key things here is that this is a very light model. It's really light, and not like die cast at all, and that's good and bad. Obviously, it's good in the sense that this is a model that's easy to pose, easy to have out. It's not easily damaged like die cast is, or chipped like die cast is. So in some ways it's more durable. It's obviously a lot lighter and makes it nice and easy to move around. Okay, but is it any good? Let's take a closer look and try and work out whether I think this is a good AN-225 or not. Now, while I'm putting the stand in here, I should just say that I don't own the Herpa version of this aircraft, and they are the only other manufacturer who has put the effort into making AN-225. And the reason I don't own it, well, partly because it weighs so much. It's a expensive model to get shipped to New Zealand, and partly because it doesn't really fit with my collection criteria, and partly because it actually is also just a very expensive model to actually own it anyway. It's quite expensive to buy, and that's one of the things about this model is it was cheap. It was very cheap. I got this from a Chinese store, and overall it was nice and cheap to acquire. I think it cost me only just under 100 RMB, which is a very cheap cost. I imagine it will be priced up in the West though. Now, what we have here is we've got the front of the aircraft, and you can see that there is actually a really well-shaped mold here. The nose shape is really nice, and it's got really nice contouring here, especially in these areas. Actually, it's really nicely put together. You can see that it's a reverse cradle in the sense that the wings slot into the top here, but in quite a respectable fashion. And there's a lot of detail on the fuselage in terms of the bumps and lumps and these large fairings above the wings. And again, at the tail, you can see that it's an add-on. As I say, everything here is plastic, but it's got a lot of nice detailing on the plastic. It's looking quite good. So I would say, you know, from a shape perspective, the fuselage is hitting the right marks. It looks good from the front. It looks good from the side. It's really nicely done. The only thing I would say of the actual fuselage body is that there is another one of these kind of round fairings, which is around, should be here, and that is missing on the aircraft. So that's not perfect. Now, if we look at the wings, they also are looking good, and they've got some nice detailing of the flaps as well. And coming around to the engine pylons, they attach actually quite cleanly to the wing, and also they're molded to the nacelles as well. So that's actually looking quite good. However, as is often the case with these plastic models, I think the rims of the engines are a little bit thick here, which isn't so good. But there is good fan detail inside, albeit it's solid fans, which is not surprising. Looking at the undercarriage, now this is an area of some weakness. Obviously it doesn't roll. I'm not sure the Herpa one rolls either, but it is quite simple. And if we look at the side undercarriage here, the main gear, then that is particularly simplistic. It doesn't have gear hubs that are well defined, and there's not a huge amount of detail on the undercarriage doors either. So that's an area where there is some weakness of the mold, but overall I think that this is a very good representation of an AN-225. Plastic is potentially, you know, a better medium than die-cast to capture this unusual bulbous and rounded form. So I think, you know, that, yeah, you knocked a point off maybe for these quite thick rims and the simplistic gear here, and missing that hump maybe. So this is scoring in the and I guess you've got the fairing here. It's scoring probably a 7, I'd say, as an overall mould, which isn't bad, considering, again, it's substantially cheaper than the Herpa version. Now, in terms of other detailing on the model, just get an idea of the sort of finish you're going to get here. The printing's not bad. There's a lot of nice detail in the logo, and even though the livery is not particularly complex, it's been nicely realised, and there's some very good and tight writing, very nicely printed here on the aircraft, which looks good. Now, one thing that is obviously missing, however, is the nose cargo door. I'm not sure why they failed to print that on, so that's actually quite a major miss, which surely you've got to include. So I'm not sure why they've missed that out. Also, if you look out over to the underside of the model, there's almost no detail on the bottom here, except for on the nose where you've got a lot of fine detail here. But there's not a lot else. So you're then not detailing the engines well. and there's not a lot of print detail for other things than the delivery itself. But that doesn't necessarily have a dramatic impact on how the model looks when it's on display, and actually I think that it actually looks pretty good. So the AN-225, obviously it's a unique aeroplane. There's only been the one built, and it's a good plane to have in your collection. The Herpa model, I think they've made 5 releases. It can be hard to find, though I believe they've actually just re-released a version where in this scheme. So if you've got, you know, the cash, then I probably would recommend the Herpa above this one. However, as I said, this cost me probably, you know, $15, $20 or something like that from China, and is a more than respectable representation of the aircraft, considering that for me the most important aspects are always the form of the nose and the fuselage, which is generally very good here. And in fact, it looks excellent as an AN-225, and the biggest issue for me is probably the fact that they haven't printed on the nose cargo door. So I'm not sure, you know, if YRD are going to be making more of these kind of one-off kind of models in plastic. I don't know if it's cheaper for them to make models in plastic than it is in die-cast. And I don't know how much, you know, plastic models bother people. Obviously, Dragon tends to get a bit of a kick in when it used plastic wings and such, but often they were very nice, and I don't really have a dramatic issue with using plastic, although over time, I guess, it is known that sometimes plastic fades if it's kept in direct sunlight. Okie doke. Anyway, so that's a quick look over. Quite an interesting new model and potentially interesting new brand or manufacturer, YRD model. I don't know much more about them. Hopefully they'll produce some other models, and we can have a look at those as well. And one thing I just have to do before I go on the video is just check out the size comparison here with one of the smallest models in 400 scale. It's lovely little Gemini Saab 340. Would really like to see more use of that mould. But look how much bigger the AN-225 is in comparison. It is a giant aircraft in comparison. Okay guys, well thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check me out on all the channels as I mentioned beforehand. Subscribe if you like it, and thank you. See you next time. Bye.